With the 2021 season behind us, let's do another post-mortem video. This time, we'll look for the teams that overperformed their preseason win totals. Before we start, if you could drop this video a like, I would appreciate it. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. Before looking at some of the biggest fails from Vegas, let's take a moment to appreciate one of the teams they nailed. The Oakland A's were projected for 86.5 wins and landed on 86. They won 36 out of 60 games in 2020, a pace that would have been good for 97 wins in a full season. So why did they call for such a mediocre year? Two of their big-time players left in free agency going into 2021. Marcus Semien had a terrible 2020, but he was a near MVP in 2019, and it turns out he's still pretty good, going to the Blue Jays and finishing third in the MVP again. The other guy was Liam Hendriks, coming off a 14-save, 1.78 ERA season and signing with the White Sox. In 2021, he led the league with 38 saves, being named an All-Star and finishing 8th in the Cy Young voting. Over the offseason, they added Elvis Andrus and Mitch Moreland. Neither of those guys ended up with an OPS plus over league average. They lost their first 6 games, then they won 13 in a row. On June 5th, they hit 10 games over 500, and that's where they ended up. It seemed like a disappointing season, finishing third and missing the playoffs, but apparently they played as well as expected. Number 5. Boston Red Sox. Projected for 80.5, 192. My last video went in depth on how the Red Sox were able to come back from a horrible 2020, and they ended up in the playoffs despite being expected to be a 500 team. They got all-star performances from the left side of their infield. JD Martinez came back strong. Nathan Eovaldi got a lot of Cy Young votes, and they bolstered their bullpen, getting a sub-2 ERA from Garrett Whitlock, and an all-star season from closer Matt Barnes. They had a fast start and slid back in a packed AL East, playing near 500 ball against the 90-win teams in their division. Alex Cora was back at the helm after his one-year suspension. Chaim Bloom made some good moves, including signing second-tier outfielders Kike Hernandez and Hunter Renfroe, and the team responded, outplaying their preseason win total by 11.5 games. Number 4. Milwaukee Brewers. Projected for 82.5, 195. This one surprised me. Before the season started, it seemed like most experts were picking the Brewers to win the Central. Apparently, Vegas thought they'd be about a 500 team. Their offense wasn't anything special, second to last in the NL in batting average, and 11th in OPS, but they were 6th in runs. They got solid seasons from Avisail Garcia and Willy Adames once he came over from Tampa. Christian Yelich was a little below league average, but this team is all about the pitching. They had 5 All-Stars, 4 pitchers, including Freddie Peralta. His 2.81 ERA was third on the team, and Eric Lauer and Adrian Hauser were just a little over 3. Brandon Woodruff had yet another strong season with a 2.56 ERA, but Corbin Burns was the big star. His 2.43 ERA and 234 strikeouts over 167 innings won him a Cy Young. Josh Hader was 34 for 35 in saves, along with a 1.23 ERA and a 15.6 K/9 rate. Just crazy good. I think Vegas underestimated the pitching staff, finishing third in baseball in ERA, and that's why they got it so wrong. Number 3. Tampa Bay Rays. Projected for 85.5, 100. Zero respect for the AL champs, a team that finished with a 667 win percentage in 2020. That pace would have won 108 games in a full season. They lost Charlie Morton and Blake Snell. I'm sure that played a role, and they didn't replace them with much, just Rich Hill and Michael Wacha. They also lost Hunter Renfroe in free agency. But these are the Rays. They will piece together anyone and everyone to end up in first place. Wander Franco came up to play 70 games, posting an 810 OPS, and he wasn't even the Rookie of the Year. That honor went to Randy Arozarena. This guy is still somehow a rookie, and he played a full season. 141 games, 20 homers, 69 RBI, and an 815 OPS. All of their main starters had an OPS plus over 100, except for Manny Margot, who was close with 98. Brandon Lau hit 39 homers with 99 RBI, good for a top 10 MVP finish. They were second in the AL in runs scored and first in ERA. It's no wonder they were the top seed in the AL playoffs. Their 24-year-old rookie, Shane McClanahan, really emerged. 25 starts and a 3.43 ERA. Tyler Glasnow was having a Cy Young season before his season ended in June. Colin McHugh was great, starting and coming out of the pen, posting a 1.55 ERA in 64 innings. Andrew Kittredge was an all-star, finishing with a 1.88 ERA with 4 starts, 8 saves, 15 games finished, and 71 2/3 random innings. Just a typical Tampa Bay Rays pitcher. Just a note to Vegas, don't underestimate the Rays until they let you down. Number 2. Seattle Mariners. Projected for 72.5, 190. Over the last, say, 7 years, the Mariners have gone back and forth between contending and sucking. They won 89 games in 2018, then lost 94 in 2019, and they were 6 games under 500 in 2020. 2 bad seasons in a row led to another projected 90-loss season. If you just look at their stats on offense, you see in 2019, they scored 758 runs, good for 10th in the American League. In 2021, They scored 697 runs, good for 11th. But fewer runs resulted in 22 more wins. So it's gotta be the pitching, right? The team had a 4.99 ERA in 2019, good for 10th in the league. And they had a pretty solid improvement up to 8th, posting a 4.30 ERA. Still not great, and doesn't really account for 22 more wins. How does a team that gets outscored by 51 runs finish 18 games over 500? Their Pythagorean win-loss record was 76 and 86, a huge gap from the actual 90 and 72 record. This team really deserves a video of their own, but here's the simple answer. They were 11 and 28 in blowout games of 5 runs or more. However, in 1-run games, they were 33 and 19, not to mention a 14 and 7 record in extra innings. Were they good or just lucky? Again, I'll dig into this team in detail in their own video. Number 1. San Francisco Giants, projected for 75.5, won 107. If the Mariners' 2021 story deserves a deeper look, the Giants season should be dissected and put in the Hall of Fame. I will definitely put out my deep dive into the 2021 Giants in a couple weeks. They were 2 games under 500 in 2020, and they didn't seem to make any important moves going into 2021, so a 75.5 win total seemed pretty accurate. The NL West was going to be all about the Dodgers and the Padres. Well, they outperformed that mark by 32 games. In 2019, they only had one starter with an OPS plus above league average, and that was Mike Yastrzemski. Those Giants were 14th in the National League in runs. 2020 was a huge improvement on offense, with everyone except for Joey Bart and Evan Longoria posting an OPS plus above 100, and Longoria was close with 96. They moved all the way up to 5th in runs scored. In 2021, they got Buster Posey back, and he almost had a career year. Brandon Belt almost posted a 1,000 OPS in 97 games, and Brandon Crawford made a strong case for NL MVP. The Giants finished 2nd in the National League in runs scored, but you don't exceed your win total by 32 games by hitting alone. Their team ERA went from 4.38 in 2019, good for 9th in the NL, up to 4.64 in 2020, good for 8th, and then all the way down to 3.24 in 2021, 2nd place in the National League. They did this by getting great seasons from journeyman starters Kevin Gausman, Anthony DeSclafani, and Alex Wood. Logan Webb emerged as a great young arm, and old man Johnny Cueto was even good in 21 starts. The Giants just got a great performance from a bunch of unexpected sources at once. If you want to see more, check back here in 2 weeks and I'll break it down all the way. Those are the top 5 overachievers from the 2021 season. If you have anything else to add about these 5 teams, sound off in the comments below. Before you go, be sure to drop a like, and give me a sub for more content just like this. I'll look at the 5 worst underachievers next week, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.